This week on Chicago Beer Pass, Nick and I talk about Minnesota road trips, Sunday fun days, and we dive into some controversy that popped up on no other place than Twitter about Haymarket Brewing. All that and more on this week's episode.
Yeah, because, you know, get a cork knocked out, boop, it just flies like fucking 10 feet. We're like, yeah, let's do it. The legend, Mr. Pete Crowley. I love Pete Crowley, man.
How's that beer? It's what you think it is.
It'll be like the stuff you hear. You ever go to, every time you go to Floyd's, all the music sounds like this. Raw, raw, raw.
Hey, and welcome to Chicago Beer Pass. I'm Brad Chmielewski.
Brad, what's up, man? I'm Nik White.
And back or on our holiday weekend, or it's really still extended. It's like the Monday after this long weekend. People are still checked out.
Yeah. It's Tuesday, though. See, that's how checked out you are.
Yeah.
Because it's Tuesday.
But it's still, people are checked out. It's like a long weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like everyone gets back in the groove tomorrow.
I hear you, man. Like, I took an extra day. Like, I didn't go in today, so.
Yeah, most of the emails I sent to clients were like, I'll be back on September 4th. So it's like, okay. Yeah. But here we are. We're drinking. Classic Chicago Beer Pass.
Right on, man.
We got some Church Street Brew going on
man.
here.
The good folks in Itasca, Illinois, man. This is Head in the Clouds. It's a 4.7% Zwickelbier.
Right.
Yeah, which you don't really see a whole lot of.
No, I love Urban Chestnut's Zwickel.
Yeah, Urban Chestnut has a Zwickel. Metropolitan has a Zwickel. Yeah, and I think a Zwickel, it's a German beer, but it can be either a lager or an ale. Uh-huh. Yeah. So, but this one's a lager.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just refers to the unfiltered, unpasteurized cellar beer.
Yeah.
German cellar beer.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the ones I've had have often been a little lighter. So this one's kind of a little, I guess, toastier color.
Yeah. And then apparently it's a type of Keller beer. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad we're drinking beer-flavored beer on this show. We mix it up, you know.
Yeah.
We're not like these new kids, you know. We're all over the map with the type of beers we pick on the show. Well, the type of beers that Brad picks on the show.
Yeah, last week we had the Pollyanna Summerly, which was their fruit beer.
It's like a raspberry wheat.
Raspberry, was it strawberry? Strawberry or raspberry?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting now. But yeah, we try to run the gamut. We can't drink IPAs every week.
Yeah, that's no fun.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, this logo looks like something straight out of like, you know, the Head in the Clouds. And it looks like, I don't know, either a character off of Thundercats from back in the day, right? Like a guest character on there. Or like one of these pamphlets that, like, you know, religious people are standing on the corner handing you,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
true.
the Awake or something.
Well, it's basically Zeus, right? It's supposed to be like Zeus or a god-like figure. But I didn't know Church Street put beers in cans.
Ditto.
And they had another, at the store I picked this up at, they had an IPA as well.
Okay.
I was reading it. It was like basically said like classic IPA. And I was like, I wasn't feeling like IPA today. I drank plenty of IPAs over the weekend. And I was like, give me that beer.
I hear you, man. I actually had I had a 12-pack of Lagunitas IPA this week. And I was like, when I saw this, I'm like, good, it's not an IPA.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Nice.
And that beer's not as good as Little Something Something.
Okay, really?
The Lagunitas IPA. No.
All right.
They do use the phrase homicidally hoppy ale is what the phrase they use on the
IPA?
On the IPA, which is a cool phrase, but
Yeah.
still not as good as fucking Little
Little
Something.
something?
Still not.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. You heard it here. Throw it down. All right. So was that your drinking then for the week? That 12-pack? You're just crushing that?
You know, just crushing it, you know. On the back porch, you know. With lazy, man. Not a lot going on this week, man. It was slow motion. Yeah. Went to the beach, but you know, I didn't really get out as like I usually do, man.
Yeah, usually over Labor Day, there's not a lot of events, but there are beer things happening where it's like, oh, growler, like $2 off your growler, or, you know, 50% off crawlers, kind of things like that happen because they know everyone just kind of hangs out at the beach, drinks, does that kind of thing. But I'm going to go a little outside of Chicago here,
Right on.
and I traveled across multiple state lines and went out to Minnesota.
Went up to Soda. Mm-hmm. Right on.
So last week when I left, we went the way through Idaho. So we could, not in Idaho, Iowa. Always mess
those are
that up.
different, Brad.
Yeah, always mess it up. Definitely far away from each other. But we went through Iowa so we could stop in at Toppling Goliath.
Oh, right on. So you went down there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hike.
Decorah, Iowa. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really cool when you get to cross the Mississippi because crossing that river is like, you forget how big it is.
Really?
Yeah, it's just, it's nuts. So that's really cool to see. And then once you cross, it's about another half hour, 45 minutes, like going basically along the river up to Decorah.
Yeah. They got now. Are they in the bigger, newer brewery?
This brewery is massive.
Okay. All right.
What was it? A couple years ago, I went out to Great Divide outside of Boulder,
Yeah.
or they're in Boulder. It's maybe not that big, but it feels like when you come up to Great Divide, or was it Great Divide or Avery? Avery. When you show up to Avery, you're just like, this place is ridiculously big.
Like the camp reminds you of a campus.
Yeah, and there's nothing like around it, just parking, and there's tanks you see sticking out of the top and on the sides, and you're like, whoa. There wasn't a lot of people there when I went there. It was, was it Wednesday afternoon, evening-ish, so about the time for dinner. And there were some people sitting outside and a handful inside. The space is huge, and they have an upstairs area with a bar as well. And then they have a kitchen, but they don't have food yet. It looks like the kitchen's like brand new, and they're not ready to serve food yet. Maybe they're just waiting on licensing, or that's not happening this year. Who knows? I didn't dive into it, but it's there. There's like this really nice.
We are here to report that it is there.
It's there.
Okay.
Soon there will be food at Toppling Goliath.
Yeah, because remember at they do pseudo-sue at the museum. So I want to say like maybe 2 winters ago, they came and they they spoke about pseudo-sue and how it relates to the museum. Oh, but they were saying how their old space kind of reminds you of like a neighborhood Pizza Hut as far as size goes.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm like, I wonder if this new space was built. Sounds like it's up and running.
Yeah, which is nuts because I don't know enough about Toppling Goliath until that pseudo-sue like craze kind of happened, and then to see them like, holy shit, this is really big. Like, are you guys the only brewery in Iowa that people care about?
Yeah, I know people get excited about. Damn, this is where it sucks when you don't write shit down. But I had a sour from them. I'll come back to them. Yeah.
Okay. Did a flight of their stuff. I heard some people talking that the latest batch of pseudo-sue wasn't very good, so they must like tweak the hops a little bit with each one. So, I had that one, so I stayed away from it. Mm-hmm. They did have a barrel-aged beer on called Morning Delight.
Oh shit! You got Morning Delight?
They're stout. Morning Delight. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That was good.
That's one of those. That's one of their big boys. I think SR71 was a big style, but the big annual release is just Morning Delight with like maple syrup and coffee. I want to say, right?
Yeah, that coffee and the roast was just coming through. And after driving 5 hours to get there, you're like, I kind of want like something big and bold. That beer hit the spot,
man.
And it really wasn't included in the flight because it's like a limited release. So I got a little small taster or small like goblet pour of it.
So from here, what are we talking? We're talking like 4 hours. It sounds like.
It was like 5 hours.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's a big deal. That's a lot.
You're not just going out there.
Yeah.
It's not a Brickstone
trip.
So
you go out there, you're probably gonna stay.
You gotta stay.
You gotta stay. It's 5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're not driving back.
One state over, 5 hours.
Mm-hmm. So then when we were there, someone behind the bar recommended, we were telling him we were going up to Minnesota, and he recommended a bar or a brewery there called Barrel Theory.
Okay.
All right, so that stuck with us. We're like, all right, we'll put that in our pocket.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we make it there. As we're driving up, we get a text from our friends. They're like, oh, we're going to Surly. I had not been to the Surly yet, so that was a bummer.
Also a fairly new brewery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. New location.
New location.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been to that, so that was like a crap. You guys are going, and we're like an hour and a half away.
Right.
We're not gonna make it before you guys are gonna bounce. But they said the food is great. Like, you hear good things about the food. Of course, the beer is good, and yeah, they had a good time there. So they checked that out. But then the next day, we went to the Minnesota State Fair.
Oh, right on. Right
And this is a amazing, crazy state fair, but it's appropriate for this podcast because it's like a mini beer fest. You can make it a mini beer fest.
Right.
This year was the first year that Surly had 3 beers that they paired with different foods there. So they had like a hazy IPA. I can't even remember what they had. I don't remember their beers because they had like normal beers.
Okay. But everybody else is jumping out the window with these some wild ass beers.
There was this mini donut beer from Lift Bridge. This was their 6th year doing it. They put sugar on the rim, and you get this donut ale. That's just kind of a sweet ale with sugar.
Okay.
Funnel cake beer had a lime beer that was pretty good. That was definitely a standout. A pickle beer.
Pickle.
There was a pickle in there. That was my favorite beer.
Really?
Pickle beer.
It sounds weird.
It sounded weird. Everyone I was with hated it, but I was down.
Well, shit. If I had a beer battered pickle, I mean.
Well, it wasn't bad. They had that. You could eat that and probably drink the pickle beer. But this wasn't a battered pickle. It was just like a normal little dill pickle in there.
Huh. All right.
They say funnel cake beer.
You said funnel cake beer.
A s'more beer. Like there was a s'more in it and chocolate sprinkled on top. Just lots of weird, crazy beer. Orange cream ales. I don't know. The amount of beer is nuts. Like we were sharing a lot of them because you get a funnel cake beer. You're like, I don't want a whole funnel cake beer. But between like 3-4 people, you're like, oh, take some of this, walk around, and then we can try way more beers here.
Yeah. So you kind of have to like get a beer, and then like the portion size is like, all right, well, if we all don't agree to drink this beer, then I'm gonna be fucked.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like hopefully someone digs this one enough that they continue on. We did have one sour called "It Takes Two to Tango, 3 to Mango." That was pretty good. It was like a nice departure from all the sweetness.
Okay. So everybody's taking their beer and they're just like kind of these fair related adjuncts, if you will, right? It's making it kind of specific to the party.
Yeah, and of course there was plenty of the normal beers there.
Yeah.
Like everything from Surly, 21st Amendment, Summit, like all the kind of just classic beers you might find too. So but if you're at a fair, you eat fair food. You do corn dogs and funnel cakes and beer or deep fried olives, like stuff like that.
I watch that show all the time on Travel Channel.
Yeah.
Where the dudes like Carnival Eats, and it's one of my favorite shows. Like I don't keep up with a lot of shows, but if that comes on, I stop and watch it. Yeah. Just because I mean he's at rolling to all these state fairs, like you said. It's like you gotta. That's your chance to really just do something fun that you wouldn't normally do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So we did that. Then the next day, we went out to this Barrel Theory.
Yeah.
It was in St. Paul, not Minnesota or not Minneapolis, but that Twin City kind of thing. This place was hands down awesome.
Really?
Barrel
Theory.
Barrel Theory. Okay. Yeah. Maeve and I would have probably, if we didn't have to drive then to Duluth, which was like 2.5 hours away, we would have sat there and just drank all their beers. They were all really good. They had like 3 hazy IPAs that were all just different hop variants, some good stouts, a couple nice sours. Really nice spot. And they have a little patio. I don't think it was open that day, but they do have a little patio. So that spot was good.
This is where's Barrel Theory?
St. Paul.
Okay.
And then we headed out to Duluth. In Duluth, we went back to Bent Paddle, which they opened up a new pilot tap room, which is basically you can see the old brewery down the street. It's like 4 buildings down, and they have a brand new pilot brewery, they're calling it.
So business is good if you're doing that, right? Yeah. Like just right down the street?
Mm-hmm.
Right on.
And their beer is top-notch. Like, I would put them... If you were thinking of Duluth-wise, like they're the Goose Island of Duluth.
Okay.
Like their beer is always good. It's safe, solid. I don't know, and they do a lot of interesting things as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like of your Minnesota adventures, this what is it, Bent Paddle, right? Mm-hmm. and then this other one, Barrel
Barrel
Theory.
Theory, yeah.
Those are the two that really stick out on you since you've been back. Those are the ones that you reminded of the most.
For sure. We went back to Hoops. People like this place called Hoops. It's fine.
Okay.
All their beers are named like number 65 and then session IPA. Number 331 milk stout.
I guess.
So
right?
that's
that's what you got to do, right?
that's kind of the thing because they're Hoops. They're like the sports themed bar, so all their beers are numbered.
like a jersey number.
Yeah, like a jersey number. So that place isn't too bad, but yeah, overall those were, I believe, all the spots we hit up on this Iowa, Duluth, Minneapolis kind of road trip. Of course, on the way back we passed Lagunitas and Chippewa Falls, but
No Chippewa Falls?
no Chippewa Falls stop.
Man.
We thought about it, but we were like, it's Labor Day. Are they open? Do we want to check?
And then it's not like you're going to just like really just hang out and dive into some food and beer.
Yeah, you got 4 hours of driving.
You're going for the novelty of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to decide if it's like we're stopping, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, Pulpit Rock is the other crew that I was thinking of in Iowa.
Oh,
As far as the crews that I've heard of that people get excited about.
Yeah.
Toppling Goliath and those guys. So.
Okay. Iowa beer and state, I kind of gloss over often. Like, sorry.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
John Hall, who founded Goose Island, he's from Iowa. The Beer and That, Mark McDermott, who hung out with a couple weeks ago, he's from Iowa. Other than that, I know nothing really. That's it. That's the end of my Iowa experience. So yeah.
We did, like, driving through there, we passed so many towns. There was Pusky Brewery or town that's looks like a Polish named old brewery. If you saw the name, I'm saying it wrong. They have a brewery, Pashki.
I was like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Right now.
Well, that was in Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
There are so many beer spots in Duluth that it's tough.
Really,
to
in
hit 'em.
Duluth?
In Duluth, yeah. I think there's 6 or 7 breweries in Duluth, and then if you just like drive 10 minutes out, you got Superior, and there's like 3 breweries in Superior. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not bad.
That's cool.
Yeah. But then we were crushing surly beers all weekend at the beach. A lot of Moon Man in cans.
New Glarus.
New Glarus, yeah. I think we had a variety pack of surly, which had like Sleek, their Citra IPA.
They make a rosé.
Oh, Surly does?
Surely does.
Ah, shit.
It's new. New like this year.
Like
I want to say it's like a rosé lager. Yeah.
That would have been good to find. But yeah, some good beer up there.
Minnesota sounds fun, man.
Yeah.
I like Minnesota.
It's just it's far to drive. It takes 7 to 8 hours to get up there.
Yeah.
And then 7 to 8 hours to get back. But it's only like an hour flight. So what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this?
Right.
And it's Minnesota, so like it's easy enough to drive, but doesn't always seem worth it for a flight for me personally.
Yeah. It's its own world for sure. Yeah. A lot of small crews doing their own thing up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice little getaway. Yeah. We missed dog events here at, what did we say, Emporium had a doggy pop-up event. This is our missus.
Okay.
And then Lagunitas had a dog event too.
Damn, okay.
Doggy Day Revenge. Both this weekend.
All right. I think Beguile has a dog event coming up too. But
Those
they
are cool.
they can have dogs at the brewery.
Yeah. Yeah. Might get over to Emporium and check out that doggy thing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nice. Did you have a favorite beer, or were you just crushing this IPA?
Man, I crushed Lagunitas IPA, and right before that was Lagunitas a little something. Because I just wanted to know what the IPA tastes like. I never bought a 12-pack IPA.
Yeah.
But man, you know what was good? Oh, Double Daisy Cutter. Double Daisy Cutter at the beach.
Double Daisy Cutter.
With the donkey on it.
Okay.
First time, I think, like in cans, probably for the second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to go Morning Delight because it's the one I actually remember the name of all the beers I had versus just like, that's the Amarillo IPA. That beer was fantastic.
It sounds like a powerful stout.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's got all the things like coffee and maple syrup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a win right there.
Sure. Cool. So that was our past weekend. What do we got coming up this week as far as events or anything happening?
Man, it's slow motion, Brad.
Oh, yeah? Okay. I did come across this event, Sunday Fun Day at Beguile.
Okay.
So this is, I believe, Saturday. And this kicks off with Sunday. So, of course, Sunday Fun Day is on Sunday, September 9th. This kicks off with a 5K run at 11 a.m., and then you finish at the tap room.
Okay.
You get a well-deserved post-race pint, and then there's breakfast sandwiches from Steingolds of Chicago, and then there's a band called the Box Band. And then later on that afternoon, there is bingo and the Empanada Bike, which is often at Beguile and Dovetail.
Okay.
And the Empanada Bike will be there from 4 to 6. So, yeah, there are tickets available, and they are, you got to sign up for this run so they know you're coming. And I think you just sign up for the run.
A 5K?
Yeah, it's $30 for the beer run / walk.
That sounds like more than 1 mile. My limit is like a mile and a half.
Well, 5K is like 3.2, 3.3 miles.
On a bike. On a bike, I'd do that.
You could walk it. $40 if you want the walk and the T-shirt.
You could walk 3 miles?
I can run 3 miles.
Really?
I ran 4 miles today.
Damn. Nah.
Yeah.
For me, it's 2.
Gotta do it.
Less than 2 miles.
All right.
1.4.
You might be able to bike it. Maybe you can talk to them. You can pay $100, and you also get 1 free beer ticket, free swag, all the perks of the other one, the T-shirt, but 100% goes to a nonprofit.
Damn,
So,
you ran like 3 miles today?
yeah.
That sounds like a lot of miles. That's all. I'm just saying. That sounds like a lot of miles.
The beer, man, you gotta
Balance it out.
balance.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
So that was the one event I saw, not Saturday, Sunday, September 9th.
Right on the 9th. Well, on the 5th, coming up, probably the day this comes out, it'll be a collab between Unani and Dry Hop. This is the Devil's Reign 2018. The Devil's Reign is a 9.2% Imperial Belgian IPA.
Okay.
With Citra and Simcoe.
Nice.
Yeah. And then also at Dry Hop, there's going to be 4 Unani / Hubbard's Cave beers.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So Hubbard's Cave, Unani, Niles, kind of far.
Yeah.
Dry Hop, not so far.
Not so far.
Dry Hop's a little closer. Yeah. It looks like this Hubbard's Cave, Cave Cocoa, Imperial Stout, coconut, and vanilla, 12%. It's going to be on tap.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm excited about, Dry Hop. One of my favorite T-shirts to wear is the Dry Hop T-shirt because it's just a big butcher knife and a big, fermenter tank.
Yeah.
And that's it. Right? It's just a cool image.
Since Corridor opened, I haven't been to Dry Hop in a long time.
I hear you, man.
Probably since Corridor opened.
I might have to second that. Yeah, that's weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because they both do a great job of making the equipment part of the aesthetic. Like it's part of the scene. And then stacked to the ceiling. It looks really cool.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. Now that you mention it, since Corridor opened, I haven't been to Dry Hop. I mean, it's just logistics, man. It's just logistics. Corridor's closer, so there it is.
Right, and I enjoy the beers quite a bit at Corridor. I haven't had a beer from Dry Hop in a long time.
Yeah.
So
that's cool that they're putting some focus on the original spot. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Food's good at Dry Hop too.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Any other events people should be on the lookout for?
No.
There are, but we're still in Labor Day weekend.
We got that Labor Day haze going, man. Yeah. Our misses category is starting to stack up more than the featured events category.
Yeah, I know. That Vice District event looked like it was pretty.
Oh, yeah, they opened this weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So cheers to them, man, out in Homewood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's Homewood Flossmoor Station. These guys, Vice District, and Rabbit Brewing.
Oh, Rabbit. No, okay.
Yeah. So hello, Homewood, Illinois. You got 3 breweries all of a sudden. That's pretty cool.
Cool. All right, cool. Well, then before we get out of here, we always like to talk about some news, some things that have been happening in the beer scene. do we want to talk about this tweet first?
Let's do it, man.
All right, so Nick came in, and this guy Alex Gordon.
During our pregame, we always chat a little bit before the show.
He's a former sports consultant. Those esports hasn't been around that long, so he has not been consulting that long. He had some comments about Haymarket. His Twitter profile also says he's 21. And he's from Chicago. So now I question your drinking knowledge quite a bit if you're 21.
But he's coming off the top rope, talking about Haymarket, right?
Yeah, coming at our friends over there, right? That's why I feel slightly offended about what I'm about to say.
We like the Haymarket guys, we like the spot, we like the beer. And then they throw some killer parties, man, namely, Fovab,
Yeah. So he had a tweet. Let's see. You got the actual tweet. I lost it now in his ramblings of bullshit here. Basically, he came at Haymarket for Matthias.
Yeah, I think the summary is kind of like, hey, this guy's saying, how can Haymarket say they're the beer of the working class people when their beers are named after the cops who broke up the workers, striking for a better wage, right? Mm-hmm. How can you do that?
Right. Yeah. So their beer named Matthias is named after the first cop who was on site at the riots, and he was killed by a homemade bomb at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. The cop got a beer named after him, but that's not the whole Haymarket story, right?
Right.
And not the Haymarket beer story either.
Right. Even just for names, right?
Yeah. So it seems like he, gladly took one screenshot of the website and pulled out that beer, because there are multiple beers from Haymarket named after people that were involved in the Haymarket riots that took place, just a couple blocks from where Haymarket Chicago location is.
Right.
One that, we all know is Oscar Pardon. That's one of their flagship beers. It's not in cans.
It might be.
It might be now.
It's a Belgian. It's like a Belgian pale, I think.
Yeah, isn't it in can? Yeah. I know Speaker Wagons, which is also the Speaker Wagon, standing on the wagon that started the whole thing. That's flagship beer in cans.
The statue over there in the Haymarket Square, the statue is of folks speaking on the wagon. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Oscar's Pardon is named after Oscar Niebe. And he ended up being sentenced to death. And then I believe the mayor or governor at the time he went to pardon. I should have the actual story that I'm talking about. He went to pardon Oscar at the time, and basically he lost his seat as this. It cost him this because he was supporting the workers.
Yeah.
And what was it? It ruined his career. And the fun part is Oscar Niebe was actually a yeast salesman for local breweries before he got in the whole affair. So, of course, Haymarket, the brewery, is going to have a beer named after this guy.
Right. And, we were talking about it, and then there's Mother Jones, which is is a Belgian double at Haymarket.
Yeah.
But then Mother Jones, the person is named after Mother Jones, who was actually, she's like this, she's a Democratic Party. She's an organizer. She convinced mine workers to organize and protest against, mine owners, right, for better wages. And, she did a lot of that in Maryland. She moved to Maryland after her shop in Chicago was destroyed in the Great Chicago Fire. She had 4 children and a husband. They all died in yellow fever in Chicago. Nice. So she split and started doing a lot of work. They called her the most dangerous woman in America, right, because she was organizing these, against child labor, essentially. Right, so she got a beer named after Haymarket as well.
Yeah, we know the Mother Jones magazine, things like that. And then Haymarket, got in this as well. They also have other beers named after people. They have Lucy Parsons, Samuel Fielding, Lizzie Swank, and Nita von not.
They all got beers?
Yeah,
Huh.
I don't know those beers.
I know Oscar and Mother Jones and Matthias. Those are the ones I know. And the Speaker's Wagon. I know those.
I feel like I've seen Lizzie Swank or Lizzie something there before.
Yeah.
But I haven't visited Haymarket in a little while. People were commenting like, "Oh, so we should get this beer." So now it became a thing. Like everyone's an expert in the Haymarket riots now for some reason. But coming after them for naming a beer after the cop as being the supporters is kind of bullshit. Their thing is we tell the story of Haymarket. Pete is definitely pro workers. He does everything he can to make sure they're getting a good wage and living a good life while working there. So, they're just trying to tell that story, but he's definitely on the worker side most of the time. But
yeah, and even when they're organizing some of these events, I think the bigger examples are Fobab and then the Oak Park Microbrew Review, where the brewmaster at Haymarket, created those two events. But he always makes it a point to, if we're going to have an event, let's have it support a particular cause. Yeah. Right. Let's have this beer do some good in these areas where we are.
Right.
So
exactly.
I think that's what they're about more than anything else. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know Pete for a long time. This may have changed, but being part of the guild, they always wanted to do events that were nonprofit events. He was mainly involved in beer events that didn't have events where they profited from. Yeah,
and this is a big event because the Haymarket riots are what led to a 40-hour work week, right? It was the result of those workers that led to May Day, which led to the 40-hour work week that most Americans that aren't entrepreneurs, are about today. So it's a big deal. I guess people are emotional on both sides of it. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. And, you want to support those cops, the first responders, the firemen that are likely in Haymarket drinking those beers too.
Yeah. So I think they do a good job of having their price points meet, what they're about. But then also if you're Haymarket, if your pub's named Haymarket and you actually were near the Haymarket Square physically, then you're going to tell the story, the complete story, which would be you're going to tell both sides of it. So it makes sense to have beers named after both if you're telling the full story, right? So,
but this guy, I feel like he tweeted this out. He is not someone who's very well known, but somehow this tweet got picked up. Josh Knoll got involved as well in it. So that's where I think the fire came with it. Otherwise, his 2,000 followers, this would have went unnoticed, but it's kind of funny, right?
Yeah, and we're in the dog days of summer, so it's interesting, and it gives us a chance to talk about a significant Chicago moment that really that had worldwide implications. Man, 8-hour workday, that's a worldwide implication right there.
And talk about Haymarket, which we don't do enough.
Yeah.
So. Check out that tweet. We'll try to include it in the description or a link to it, and you can chime in as well. But what else is happening in the beer world that's maybe not as
polarizing as the Haymarket chatter on a early September? Cheers to Lucky Door, man. Lucky Door is the tap room or the bar. Just steps from Wrigley Field. Okay. This is actually named after a guy who worked in Wrigley. And, they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary. Cool. They got 22 beers on tap, and all those beers are Chicagoland beers, all made for that location.
That's good.
It's a unique concept, man. And I think I'm really excited that, even though when you go to the park, it's still an AB thing for the most part. You might find some Lagunitas in there. You might find some Sophie. But for the most part, it's an AB house and all their stuff. Right. But you, just 40 feet away is this bar that really celebrates Chicago beer in a major way, and they're still rolling.
Yeah, and being at a location now that has become a tourist destination, there's a hotel there.
Hotel Zachary.
Yeah, when people are there, they want to experience Chicago, right? That's one, you like the Cubs, but you also want to be part of Chicago history or in that moment, so you want to find more Chicago things to try or see or consume if you're staying at.
It's true. Those things are mission critical. I think if you're on Michigan Avenue, having a bar like House and Hood, for example, or even where we recorded the show at Side Door. Yeah.
Oh, Side Door, yeah.
Having bars like that in tourist places is a big deal, and because like you said, I remember, I'm not a Cubs fan, but I heard the Cubbies GM on the radio a few years ago, and he would say like, at any given time, 40% of the crowd is from out of town.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important that we're doing like actual Chicago things at these places, and a bar with 22 beers made from Chicago for Chicago. That's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
Also in news, man, Pace Magazine, they had a blind tasting. This time is the 25 best milkshake IPAs in the country.
Okay.
Dude, there's so many milkshake IPAs that there's a blind taste of 25 of them, first of all.
I can't believe it's only 25. I believe Forbidden Root does 25 in a week.
Man, of the 25, I mean, some of the stuff, Night Shift and Elysian, right? And, blah, blah, blah. Let's go to the top 5, right?
Okay.
Let's see. Number 5, out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Cinderlands Beer Company with Cosmic Note.
Have not heard of that brewery.
Same. Number 4, Relic Brewing out of Plainville, Connecticut.
What a horrible town to be in. Where
Plainville.
Plainville.
Relic Brewing,
Right.
Plainville.
I've heard of them for some reason, but maybe I just. But
that's a double IPA. Number 3 is Odell. We've all heard of Odell. Fort Collins, Colorado, with the Cloud Catcher. Number 2, Funky Buddha down in Oakland Park, Florida, with the Tart Shake.
okay.
Number 1 out of the blind tasting of 25, Weldworks.
Weldworks. Wow.
Pina Colada Milkshake IPA, Greenlee, Colorado.
All right. Nice job, Weldworks.
Yeah. So that's it for news, man.
Cool. Well, that's going to do it for our first show of September. Drinking some Head in the Clouds from Church Street. And, always supporting the Chicago breweries.
Hell yeah. Even when the guy on the front looks like Zeus.
Well, they're church, right? So you have to have like
that's true.
godly figure on it.
That is true.
So, Nick, where can people find you, get in touch when we're not recording here?
Right on, man. I'm on Twitter at Nicosia.
I'm on Twitter at BRAD. Chicago Beer Pass is on Twitter at Chicago Beer Pass. Instagram, Chicago Beer Pass. We're always posting photos there as often as we can. Facebook, chicagobeerpass.com. We'll post other photos, share events there as well. And then the website, chicagobeerpass.com. Everything's just posted there. Links to iTunes, Stitcher, the YouTube version. And we'll be back next week. Maybe we'll drink some Haymarket beer. Take care.
Cheers.